Mallory, would you care to begin?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We will be getting started in just a moment. Please mute your phones while the graduation is in progress to avoid any background noise. We thank you for your cooperation. If you feel comfortable with it, feel free to turn your cameras on. We'd love to have the video interaction with you all. And lastly, please note that we are recording the session. Again, hello everyone, and welcome to Abuse Refuge Org, affectionately known as ARROW's first graduating class, 1221, Norm Therapy Intake Specialists. Today, the creator of Norm Therapy and co-founder of Abuse Refuge Org will be sharing a little about the Norm Therapy program. We will be watching a testimonial video from each of our Norm Therapy Intake Specialist graduates and a few selected Norm Therapy interviewees. Then on to the best part, graduation. Before we end our time together, we will be giving all those who are interested in learning more about our program an opportunity to join our breakout groups for some Q&A. Our mission was to train a cadre of intake specialists who would be the vanguard and serve as process interviewers for victims or survivors of abuse. We are not counselors, clinicians, doctors, or licensed therapists, which grants us a unique opportunity. It is more personalized than traditional therapies, and we are able to self-disclose to our victims or survivors' experiences and life knowledge, and further connect with what they've been through. Not all interviews will possess every element of this structure. However, our platform gives us the most comprehensive approach toward finding clarity, providing assessment, and arriving at the truth. It is important to note that Norm Therapy is sort of a pre-therapy, preparing a victim or survivor for therapy with clinicians, doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, and many other entities within the abuse care community. A great deal of hard work, sacrifice, and learned experience has gone into Norm Therapy. Michael Gibson, ARROW's co-founder and creator of Norm Therapy, spent the last 25 years or more developing this concept. He found himself in a myriad of situations around the world where people would consistently seek his wisdom or advice. You know how when you have a friend who you can just talk to? Michael was literally that friend on an exponential basis to many. What Michael believes is simple. Most people who suffer from abuse have somehow over time. We oftentimes give the example that if a man were to go home from work, greet his wife, and then simply slap her face, that reaction to being slapped, if she does nothing about it, will become normalized. And after a year or even a few months of arriving home, then slapping his wife would then become normalized behavior and acceptance of that behavior. Perhaps even in the future, the wife would simply put her cheek out to her husband to slap, thinking that maybe he had forgotten that day. On this premise, Norm Therapy was born. If somehow a victim or survivor is convinced through trauma, psychological or physical, and have normalized the pain and destruction, Michael saw that there was an opportunity to help people find clarity about their abuses. He firmly believes that people plot their own destinies through a series of decisions. The more decisions you make, the better you will become at making decisions. He also believes that people will only ever do to you what you allow them to do or what they think they can get away with. Our NTIS job is first and foremost to find clarity in a victim or survivor's chronology of their pathologies. We are not here to cure anyone. However, we are here to help find the truth and take that truth into therapy if needed. Kelly Dean, our other co-founder of ARROW, actually was the first person to ever have successfully gone through Norm Therapy. She may not be perfect, but Kelly is a far cry from where she used to be, realizing that Norm Therapy probably saved her life. In many walks of life, a wide spectrum of our global population experience abuse every day, from one kind to another. Kelly experienced at least 10 different abuses over the course of her life, to include narcissism, sexual, physical, psychological, financial, child, self, cyberbullying, bullying, and spousal abuse. Some on an acute basis and others on a chronic basis. It was quite debilitating for her as she journeyed through her pain. The entire Arrow organization was envisioned and created based on Kelly's abuses endured, and this was only the beginning. Arrow will be adding in the future elderly, alcohol, substance, institutional, and prison abuses upon receiving certifications for abuse care licensures. I'm Valerie Williams, and I'm your host today for Norm Therapy Trademark Intake Specialist Graduation. My experience at Arrow has been rewarding and productive, as I have been instrumental in helping with fundraising and idea generation for Arrow Pride, which supports the LGBTQ+ community and is dedicated to LGBTQ+ victims or survivors of abuse. Norm Therapy is an innovative abuse management interviewing process whereby the Norm Therapy intake specialist will interview an eclectic array of victims or survivors from around the world. This is no easy task. Not only have we developed Norm Therapy for North America, moreover, we're developing Norm Therapy for different regions of the world. We would like everyone to take a few minutes and view our Norm Therapy testimonial video and listen to some of its participants speak about Norm Therapy. So everyone, please put your mics on mute, take a look and enjoy.
Hello, my name is Michael Gibson. I'm the Global Managing Director as well as co-founder of Abuse Refuge Org, which we affectionately know as Arrow, and I'm also the creator of Norm Therapy. Norm Therapy is our trademark service that we provide victims and survivors of abuse. Basically, we help them find their normal where it otherwise did not exist before. Sometimes we find ourselves so deeply involved in a relationship or a business endeavor or a family situation where we're being abused and it becomes so rampant in our lives that we don't even know that it's happening to us until we step outside of ourselves and look at that circumstance, and then we find a bit of clarity. With this clarity, Arrow actually packages that clarity in a HIPAA-regulated format, and then we transfer it over to a HIPAA-regulated audience of doctors and clinicians and therapists and psychiatrists and psychologists, the police, social workers, you name it, in order to help that victim or survivor continue in their quest for clarity and treatment and or bring themselves outside of that normalization that they have experienced for quite some time in their life and have caused them much pain. That is our objective. I think we're well on our way. Listen to some of our testimonials, and I think that you'll find it very interesting. Thank you very much and welcome.
Hi there. My name is Kelly Dean, and I'm the Global Executive Director and co-founder of Abuse Refuge Org, or what we like to call Arrow. About 4 years ago, I found myself at the corner of life and death. I knew that I wanted to live, but I knew something had to change. And with the help of what I like to call an angelic soul, that person put me on a path to clarity. Now that happens to actually be our other co-founder, Michael Gibson. His experience as an ex-Special Forces Green Beret, along with being a global business traveler, was really interesting and different, because I had tried 10 years of counseling, and I had tried just a variety of other measures to try to get well, and just nothing worked. And then I went through what I would compare to a mental boot camp. At the time, there was no name for it, but now there is, and it's called Norm Therapy. That's our trademark term. Basically, what it means is that if you've never known what normal looks like, how can you identify what normal is? And I like to explain it as pre-therapy that gets you ready for therapy. And in that light, I learned so much about myself I learned that I had actually been a victim of abuse in the 10 areas that we now focus on. So that's narcissism, sexual, physical, psychological, financial, child abuse, self-abuse, spousal abuse, cyberbullying, and bullying. And it was a lot to unpack. But when you start to finally understand yourself, no matter what age that is, it is such a beautiful thing. And I can tell you on the other side of it now today, I have seen my life change in more ways than I could have ever imagined. And, you know, the exciting part of it as well is that now we have other team members that are going through to become what we call norm therapy intake specialists, and participants that are actually going through norm therapy as we speak as part of our pilot program. So I could speak at length about this, but what I can tell you is it not only changed my life, but it also saved my life.
Hi, my name is Danielle Andrade, and I'm currently training to become a norm therapy intake specialist. From what I've learned thus far, norm therapy has the ability to transform the lives of abuse victims. It is more personalized and interactive than traditional therapy in the sense that we are able to self-disclose to these victims and connect with what they have been through with our own stories and experiences. Because of this self-disclosure aspect, I think it allows for clients to feel more comfortable in expressing their stories, and also it makes them feel less alone. One of the goals of norm therapy is to help victims see the truth. Many victims tend to lie to themselves and others about the abuse that they've experienced. This hinders them from digging deep within their story and ultimately prevents them from healing. What makes norm therapy so great is that we play an active role in helping victims come to terms with what they've actually experienced, and we do this by calling them out on their lies. This is important because therapists and friends and family members don't do this for the victims, and that's what we're really here for, helping them come to terms with their story and being there for them in the process.
Hi, my name is Eileen, and I would like to share with you why I believe in the usefulness and benefits of norm therapy. After first learning about Arrow and shortly after about norm therapy, I immediately could see this as a huge opportunity to serve abuse victims and survivors. When I interviewed for the norm therapy intake specialist role, hearing Michael Gibson talk about his concept and then seeing it come to life through training further solidifies how impactful norm therapy has the potential to be. I truly believe that norm therapy could not only be beneficial for abuse victims and survivors, but even people who don't necessarily feel as though they have experienced abuse, to help them gain clarity on their past and present and move forward into their futures with more understanding of the truth. For abuse victims, this means identifying a more manageable path towards freedom from their abusive woes and tortures. Many people don't even realize that they have been lying to themselves for so long. Norm therapy allows a space for people to truly explore the origins of how events in their past actually occurred, to find the truth and better prepare them for other counseling and therapies, and hopefully extraction from their abuse. I wholeheartedly support the expansion of norm therapy in what it is and provides at its core, and I am thoroughly excited to see it penetrate all aspects of the abuse care industry worldwide.
Hi, I'm Logi, and I want to speak a bit about my experience with norm therapy and my opinion about it. Now, the truth is that I've never really been to therapy before. I'm 25 years old, and my traumatic incidents happened pretty a while ago. Now, the thing is that I never really had the opportunity because I couldn't afford therapy, and all my options were pretty expensive. And when this opportunity with norm therapy came about, I jumped at the chance because I wanted to take that step towards positive mental health. And the thing about norm therapy is that it attracted me at the first time I read about it, first time I talked about it with Kelly, it attracted me because I'm very aware of the fact that a lot of things in the world are normalized when it should not be normalized, And abuse is definitely one of those things. Throughout my life, there have been so many things that the abusers in my life have tried to instill in me, things that should not be instilled, I've been made to feel this way or that way, and I should not feel that way, and it should not be normalized. So the thing about norm therapy is basically that the word that I would use would be, it gives you clarity. It gives you sort of a very clear vision, I would say. That's definitely how I would explain it. Because after, throughout my sessions, my conversations with Michael and everyone, the thing that I've realized is that the way I perceive all the incidents in my life, all the traumatic incidents in my life, it's so very different now. The way I looked at it before and the way I look at it right now, it's so very different, In the past, whenever I looked at it, it was so foggy. It was foggy with pain and anger, and because of that, I never really looked at things objectively. And the thing that what norm therapy gave me is the ability to look at things more objectively, which helps me deal with it in a logical manner. And that definitely helps me sort through all the memories and incidents that sort of live inside me. So I would say it makes me feel lighter, All my dark days, I wouldn't say they aren't gone, like they're completely gone or anything of that sort. But I would definitely say that I can deal with it a lot easier, There are moments where it's really tough, where I can hardly breathe, but my conversations and the clarity that I have, it helps me push through a lot harder. It helps me deal with everything that I'm going through a little easier. And that's a huge, huge thing for me, because I've never had that. And because of that, for me, the idea that norm therapy can be available for so many people out there who definitely need it, it's huge. And it makes me feel happy that there's something like this available. And the one thing that I can say is, even though I've always been, I've always actively believed that I should not believe anything that an abuser says, or when an abuser tries to make me believe that this thing is normal, that it is normal for you to fear every single thing in your life. It's just not. And the thing is, throughout my life, there are moments that I fought against it and tried to tell myself that this is not normal. But norm therapy took me beyond that, because there's a limit to how much you can counsel yourself, And what I've realized with this is that my conversations with someone who's very emotionally mature, someone who's lived through life and who's got a lot of, not an advice, a lot of worldview to tell me, that really helps. That definitely helped me sort of look through things and deal with things a lot easier. And I am very glad that I had that opportunity. That's it.
Hi, if you're watching this, you're probably wondering about norm therapy, and I was right there along with you when I heard about Arrow and its mission to revolutionize and change the abuse care industry. And so I heard more about norm therapy when I was a volunteer. I started as the assistant editor in their editorial department, and then soon just needed to know more about norm therapy and what it's going to do. So I'm starting to train, almost done training for the norm therapy intake specialist, and wow, I know that this is going to be really life-changing to so many people. It's not like traditional therapy because you get to the heart of the issue, and the ever popular quote and verse that the truth will set you free is so true when it comes to norm therapy, because we have lies that we might be believing and we can't heal from them if we continue to stay in that pattern. So norm therapy is all about getting to the root issues there, and it's really just going to be really life-changing once we have this pre-therapy and then can go to help and reconnect and connect with all the different other people that the survivors and victims need. So I definitely stand by Arrow's mission, and I support norm therapy 100%.
Arrow's co-founder and norm therapy creator, Michael Gibson, has an amazing vision for the norm therapy program. Within this confidential space of a one-on-one session, an intake specialist will guide individuals who are willing to step forward to journey within on a fact-finding mission to their truths. As an abuse survivor myself and someone who's being trained in the trusted processes of norm therapy, I am experiencing firsthand the incredible value of Michael's norm therapy concepts and how greatly they will impact the lives of those who are willing to help themselves.
Hi, my name is Jocks. I am the editorial manager at Arrow, and I've been in norm therapy for a couple months now. It actually started where I was in a meeting with Kelly and Michael, two co-founders of Arrow, and kind of giving my updates and having kind of a breakdown during that. And so they kind of waited till the end of the meeting, asked me to stay on, and just asked if I was okay, asked if there was anything they could do. And I wasn't expecting that. Kind of the care that they had for me. And through these past months, something like a dozen hours that we've spent together just talking has been so inspiring in a way, where through the process of norm therapy, I'm finding new ways to think about myself, and to think about my past, present, future. Everything has been difficult for sure, but eye-opening. Through norm therapy, I've been able to stop looking at my past and looking at myself as a victim, and someone who was weak and had all these difficult things happen. But instead, I'm able to reframe that to see that I survived some really difficult things, and I can use that to help others. And it's just been a really, really amazing experience to be able to work through some of these things with two people that I admire so much. I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Hi, I'm a norm therapy intake specialist trainee nearing the end of my training, and what I can tell you so far in my journey with norm therapy is that it has been absolutely life-changing. However, you really have to experience norm therapy to understand how powerful it is. Here at norm therapy, our goal is to help abuse victims and survivors understand what their normal is outside of their abuse, and to understand what their truth is. Throughout my time at norm therapy, I've had the privilege of interacting with strong and brave women who have inspired me to do better. Here at norm therapy, our goal is to create an abuse care industry that helps abuse victims and survivors and helps them have a better future. I'm absolutely excited to be part of norm therapy and can't wait to see what the future holds.
We hope you enjoyed the norm therapy testimonial video. Now, we'll begin the graduation ceremony. But before we do, I would like to turn over the microphone to our keynote speaker, co-founder of Arrow and creator of norm therapy, Michael Gibson.
There we go.
Unmute, Michael.
Okay. It wouldn't let me off for some reason. Probably operator's headspace. Anyway, hello everyone. I am Michael Gibson. For those of you who I've not had the chance to meet, I welcome you to our first Norm Therapy Intake Specialist graduation. I want to first thank our pioneer Norm Therapy Intake Specialists for their sacrifice, their consistent input, and their stellar ability to not only grasp our trademarked norm therapy process, rather, they have broken new ground in its applications. By design, norm therapy is not easy. An intake specialist's job is not to become the victim's or survivor's friend on any level. However, being friendly, affable, mature, courageous, a good listener, and many other traits that we will look for in a norm therapy intake specialist personality and character are all vital towards achieving the highest results in norm therapy. Many people who've participated in norm therapy, either as an intake specialist or a victim/survivor, has consistently stated that they've never seen or heard anything like norm therapy. It has been referred to as the missing link. The norm therapy intake specialist's entire universe revolves around the personality and the narratives of the victim or survivor. Our process is not ego-driven, rather it's recognition-driven based on the narratives and the abuses presented. If you would like to know more about norm therapy, please visit our website at goarrow.org for more information. Before I turn you back to Valerie, I'll just say thank you all for joining and congratulations to all of our norm therapy intake specialist graduates. And now I'll turn the mic back over to Valerie. Thank you.
For the class of Norm Therapy Intake Specialists 1221, the honor graduate for the course is Kelly Dean. Kelly is not only our first honor graduate of the NTIS course. In addition, Kelly is also the Global Executive Director and co-founder of Arrow. Kelly was named the esteemed honor graduate, not because of her position at Arrow, rather her stellar interview techniques learned and applied, as well as her vast understanding and readiness to take on any challenges presented under the Norm Therapy banner. Even prior to the initial Pioneer Norm Therapy Intake Specialist course, Kelly had literally been involved in hundreds of hours of norm therapy sessions, where she served as an assistant to Michael Gibson in the norm therapy department, and later served as an interviewer even before the NTIS course began. The vast bastion of knowledge and experience very well gave Kelly a plethora of experience and advancement over the other NTIS candidates. Many organizations would perfunctorily grant this honor upon their chief executives. However, in this particular case, as a norm therapy intake specialist, Kelly actually earned it. Kelly, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you, Valerie. I am very appreciative to have been selected as honor graduate for the class of 1221. It's funny, Michael and I had much debate about it, but in the end, he said I earned it. And Michael is not one to say something and not mean it. While I have put in countless hours helping Michael in building out the norm therapy program, I have witnessed each of our norm therapy intake specialists also put in a whole lot of early mornings, late nights, and a lot of hours building this pilot program. This simply was a team effort, a labor of love, and everyone was always ready to get to work and show up for the job. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it also takes a team to build and develop the norm therapy program. What we are building is not easy. At the beginning of our class, I was just planning to take notes and manage the Zoom recordings, which I will say I can do a whole lot better than Michael. But jokes aside, I had no intention of becoming an NTIS, nor did even actually cross the line at the time. But as timing would have it, we were one person short and we needed 6 NTIS for breakout groups. It was then that Michael said, Kelly, we're gonna have you go through the NTIS program as a student. As luck would have it, I am amongst an incredibly bright, an intelligent group of gifted norm therapy intake specialists. And if I could divide this certificate 6 ways, I would. I am grateful to have gone through norm therapy, both as an interviewee and as the first participant in norm therapy. At the time, we didn't have a name for norm therapy, so you often may hear me refer to it as mental boot camp. To now be on the other side as an NTIS and conducting interviews, I feel privileged to have been able to witness the progress of several of our norm therapy interviewees who were ready and willing participants at any cost. The techniques that Michael uses and all that this program has taught me, the many life lessons learned, and remarkable group I have before me. No words can articulate what this whole experience has meant to me. Thank you again for this selection, Michael, as I am both honored and humbled. Thank you.
I will now be announcing the NTIS graduates. If you would kindly mute until applause, it would be appreciated. Our next NTIS graduate is Danielle Andrade. Danielle, would you like to say a few words about your experience as a norm therapy intake specialist?
Yes, I'm honored to accept this certificate of graduation. I believe the work that we will be doing as norm therapy intake specialists is extremely important, and I feel super lucky to have undergone the training that we all have. I want to thank Michael for being so supportive and helpful throughout this process.
Thank you, Danielle. Our next NTIS graduate, Zainab Beg. Zainab, please say a few words about your experience as an NTIS.
Sure. The last few weeks, I and my fellow NTIS have spent learning how norm therapy works and how to help abuse victims and survivors. It has been a memorable journey alongside wonderful and brave women. From the beginning, Michael had described me as someone who means business and has no problem speaking up. The first time I heard this, I thought there's no way that's true. Turns out he was right. He just saw something in me I hadn't had the opportunity to truly explore yet. The work we've done throughout this training process, alongside our interviewees, has helped me see that I do have the confidence to stand up for myself and say it like it is. For the last 2 years, I've known that I need to be in the mental health field, particularly helping people of color and abuse victims. I don't expect to find something like Arrow while pursuing that goal. In fact, I don't expect to find an organization whose mission truly spoke to how I felt and what I believed in. I am so grateful to have the opportunity to learn everything Arrow has to offer and to be able to say that I am part of this mission.
Excellent. Thank you, Zainab. Our next NTIS graduate is Kim Carpenter. Kim, please share your experience as a norm therapy intake specialist.
When I fled an abusive relationship several years ago, leaving behind decades of unhealthy patterning in my life, I made a promise to myself with God that one day I would be in a position to do what I could to help other abuse victims to not only survive, but to thrive. Fast forward to August 2021, I was scrolling online through volunteer opportunities when Abuse Refuge, lovingly referred to as Arrow, spoke loudly to my heart. Answering the call to fulfill that promise, I met with Kelly, the Global Executive Director, and then later with Michael, the co-founder of Arrow and founder of Norm Therapy, to learn that I had been selected as one of their NTIS pioneers. Needless to say, tears of joy flooded my heart. Stepping fully into accepting the challenges and opportunities of the training before me, surrounded by an amazing group of volunteers with that same passion to serve others, led by a straightforward and compassionate instructor, those tears flowed again in recognition of the incredible value for those on the receiving end of norm therapy and what they will gain. Arrow is leading the way forward within the abuse care community, and I'm honored to be a small but important part of their grand vision. I'm immensely grateful to both Kelly and Michael for this opportunity to serve others as an intake specialist, and I'm excited about all the wonderful things to come as norm therapy establishes itself as one of the premier programs being offered to those ready for a hand up. Thank you so much again, Michael and Kelly.
Thank you, Kim. Our next NTIS graduate, Josie Nelson. Josie, would you like to share a few words about your experience?
Hi, everyone. So, when you start something that you just don't really know what to expect, but you think that things are going to change because of it. Like when you meet a stranger at a coffee shop who orders your exact same tea, because I don't like coffee, and you start talking and find out you have so much in common and have become instant besties. Well, coming to Arrow was sort of like that missing piece in my life, and then norm therapy was like that new iron sharpens iron best friend. It doesn't let you keep going down the same old stories and bad habits you've always done. Those self-limiting beliefs your other friends just let you join in on, that's not going to happen with norm therapy. Instead, it's where clarity is key, exploration and mission, and truth essential. The NTIS training was different than anything I've done. It pushed me in ways that I needed to gain confidence in my skills and knowledge, and it has allowed me to create really amazing relationships with my colleagues here. Norm therapy also has a space of healing, and that's what I truly love most about this experience. I truly appreciate the Arrow volunteer interviewees and their willingness to go the distance and really be vulnerable and open to what norm therapy does and how it can really change lives. To my interviewee, thank you. To the other interviewees, thank you. Without you, this experience just wouldn't have been the same. Here's to norm therapy as the best friend who won't let you down and will challenge you to reach your true potential. Thanks.
Thank you, Josie. And our final NTIS graduate, Eileen Shea. Eileen, would you care to say a few words about your experience as a norm therapy intake specialist?
Thank you so much, Kelly and Michael, for choosing me to be part of this amazing endeavor. It is such a privilege and an honor to be one of the pioneer norm therapy intake specialists. I am humbled to join these other 5 amazing ladies in this journey and know that there are great things in store for the futures of us all, Arrow and norm therapy. The success of norm therapy relies not just on this team of people, but the support of our community. And I would like to thank anyone who is able to support Arrow in making it possible for Arrow to provide this service to abuse victims free of charge. As a survivor myself, the impact norm therapy will have is invaluable. I cannot begin to describe what this journey has felt like and meant to me. Thank you so much for this recognition, and I hope that it serves as an inspiration for others to join Arrow's efforts. I look forward to all that norm therapy will aspire to for many years to come. I am proud and deeply appreciative of this acknowledgement. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. And how about a heartfelt applause for all of our NTIS graduates of 1221. Before we conclude the first norm therapy intake specialist graduation ceremony, I'd like to give a thank you to Eden Yovio, our graphics design manager, and her team for the great work in developing all of the graphics and the certificates for this event. A special thanks goes to Andy Sherman for designing the certificates. A shout out to Edgar Ramos and Karen Gonzalez for their hard work in producing the graduation testimonial video. Thank you to the norm therapy intake specialists for all of your great feedback and participation. Thanks to all of the norm therapy interviewees for your participation in our first pilot program. We could not have done it without you all. And I want to share with everyone what a privilege and honor it was for me to have hosted this graduation ceremony. If you're interested in learning more about norm therapy or abuse refuge org, please check out our website at goarrow.org, GOARO.org. And please encourage volunteers, victims or survivors, professional clinicians, doctors, therapists, and social workers to do the same. Most importantly, don't forget to make a donation by clicking the donate button at the top of the main page of our website. This concludes the official graduation ceremony. However, if you want to stick around and talk to the different norm therapy players, A breakout room has been established for Michael Gibson, Kelly Dean, and our norm therapy intake specialists. Feel free to pick whichever room you prefer. Thank you all again. Happy holidays and be safe this holiday season.